Yo, what is going on? Yo, it opened right up and you were small in the corner.
Boom. Story of my life.
Yes.
Put the baby in the corner.
I love
Nobody
it.
puts baby in the corner.
Oh man, yo, you might just have to stay like that. You know what I think it is? I think it's.
What do you think
I
it
think
is?
it's the NDI source somehow messing everything up. But
Probably it could be. It could be. I mean, the only other alternative is if we did like a screen grab. You know, like how you record the screen.
That would be super ugly. That's what. That's how I thought that people. Eli says, "Good start, guys."
Well, that's how they used to do it.
I know.
That's how they used to do it.
I made you hopefully a good size. Hopefully.
Maybe you should just make me really big so when it like crops down, I'm like at the normal size. I don't know.
If I could add multiple NDI sources and when one of them goes haywire, just freeze it and then.
Oh yeah.
Like a little backup.
I don't know. That could be how we can do it.
Joseph says.
Who's here?
Joseph says I got this streamed via phone to AirPlay. This is how much I value these little live chats. That's awesome, man. Thank you for tuning in.
Good. We appreciate the dedication.
So today's topic is going to be commercial drone pilot, the reality of it. Because you know what? Here's the reason I wanted to do this, is because I think that everybody, once they buy a drone, thinks they're going to be a millionaire. I thought I was going to be at first. Like when you first buy your drone, you think you're going to make so much money with it.
I never thought that. I just my thoughts were I'm gonna crash it, I'm gonna lose it, and I'm sleeping on the couch.
Okay, here's the thing: is like you buy the drone at first and you go, oh, it's pretty cool, but once you start doing some research, you're like, I can make some money with this.
We were born at different times. My thought was, I'm gonna crash it and lose it.
I don't know.
The money was always like a secondary thought. You know why I bought a drone? True story. I thought I was gonna be really freaking cool. And I was gonna ride on my skateboard and just like have sort of like a Casey Neistat.
Yeah.
That's why I did it, and then I broke my arm, and then I realized skateboards suck really bad at 35.
Oh, is that when you broke your hand, right?
Yeah, that's why I broke my arm, dude. That was before I knew you. I broke my arm.
Yeah. But here's the thing: is like, I feel like there's a lot of people that buy their drone and think they're instantly going to be able to make money, and whenever I'm out flying, people are like, oh, you could probably make some good money with that thing. It's like, you know those questions you always get: how far can it go? How fast can it go? How high are you allowed to fly? And then there's always another question saying, "Bet you can make some good money with that."
That's usually like after I can see the puzzle getting put together in people's mind as they're talking to me. It was funny. I was just like literally interrogated this afternoon. I was working with a client. I was doing some shots for a listing. And this guy walks out and he's like, what are you doing flying over my property? And just gave me we went through the whole spiel. Yeah. But that was finally one of his questions, was like, oh, what do you make with that? Like after he fully got it, that was what his question was.
I mean, that's the thing, is like people just assume that you can make a ton of money off of it. And I think that if you do it the right way, you can. And I'm not trying to say this to be negative, right? But there's a lot of things that kind of have to fall in place in order for you to actually be making money with your drone.
Honestly, you gotta have a little bit of dumb luck.
Yeah, because again,
it's very niche.
I agree. It's a very niche thing, but you kind of have to know some people, and I think that that's the case in any way. But the best way to get started with drone business is if you know people, and if you have a couple of realtors that are friends, or if you have a friend that is into construction. I mean, that's the only way you're going to get into it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, well, that's one way you can get into it. I mean, the other way would be. You can just randomly hit up people. I mean, there's multiple avenues you can go with commercial. Like you went a different way than I went. Like we're on two separate spectrums. I don't know. I mean, there's multiple different ways. I mean, that you can really go, but it can be really depressing when you first start.
Yeah, and you know what? I wrote down some talking points here, just in case we got off track. And Steve says, just noticed an audio lag to video for both of you. Maybe try refreshing sometimes it just falls out of sync. Just try refreshing your page. I could try doing a little. I don't really know how I would do that.
I noticed there's a tiny bit of lag on the stream. I don't know. I mean, it looks like it's coming in clear, but are you hardwired, Billy?
Yes. You know.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm hardwired. Wow, man.
What's the bit rate you got pushing?
I forget, like 7,500 or something.
We should be good. Sometimes it takes a little bit for the stream to buffer up and everything,
I have one of those converters that goes from Ethernet to USB-C, and it is hot. Holy
Yeah.
crap. Um,
Well, it's a lot going on, a lot of bit
Steve,
rate. Close your eyes,
Steve,
listen. It's
refresh and
magical.
let. Oh man, it just. Steve, refresh and let us know if you continue to see that bug. You just went really big now, man.
Yo,
Yo, OBS.
we're doing big
Okay,
things.
now,
We're doing
now,
big
oh my
things.
god, dude, I can't even, because it goes to really big and then really small. All right, I'll hit the lock button, but
Love
it's
it.
not actually gonna lock. So this was actually one of my talking points, right? Is that there's so many different industries, like sub industries within the drone industry that you can pursue, whether it be mapping, whether it be real estate photography. Dude, I can't. What?
I'm watching the stream as it happens, and I'm like watching. It looks like I'm peeking around the corner, like real,
Oh, oh
I
my
see
god.
you.
I can't even with
Oh,
this. It just continues to.
it wouldn't be the Overcast if we did not have like some form of technical
You know
issue.
what?
My
I'm gonna play reverse psych. Oh my god.
reverse psychology is like we're gonna have like a powwow after this is all said and done, and like no more, done with the OBS. The OBS, we've given it a go.
It's like really crazy right now.
Yeah, it's got to be something with the NDI source. I don't know, but anyways,
So there's all these
um,
different sub industries within the drone industry, right? I mean, we've got mapping, we've got inspections, we've got thermal, we've got so many different things. So there's a lot of different I guess, areas that you can explore. And if photography is not your thing, try video. If video is not your thing, try mapping. You know what I mean?
I agree, Elliot. I agree. What a jackass that Billy Kyle is. He's doing it on purpose. He's making me go big and
I
small.
wish I could say I was.
I am sitting still, Steve. I am. I swear to gosh, I'm not
I
moving.
don't understand
I'm
what to
afraid.
do. I don't get it.
I don't know, and you can't blame it on the cameras because we're both using the same camera for consistency purposes. I don't know. It's OBS. Like some days when we're doing the stream, I just want to get up and just
Leave.
go to the bar. I'm just like fuck it. You got it. No, there is a lot of avenues you can go when it comes down to commercial avenues per se. And the cool part I think about aerial videography, photography is like once you get your 107 certification, everything else is sort of a la carte. You don't like really have to worry about, extra training unless you're going, you're going to be dealing with
I
thermal
agree.
and you got to and you got to understand that, or you can always outsource your thermal images for further analyzation, which I would totally advise doing. Show prep. What happened to show prep? We don't prep. This is the Overcast Live. Threw prep out the window.
Yeah, for real, right? We jump on 5 minutes before and hope everything's good.
Fly by the seat of our pants type of deal here.
So, how would you suggest getting started in the drone industry? Like what was your way? Because I know as soon as you got your 107, you really started to scoop up a lot of different realtors that you've been doing work for, not only aerials, but of course just regular photos and stuff.
Well, it didn't happen that way. Think about it. Like when we got our 107, it was October. We sort of each thought about like the name that we wanted to call our company so we can like have an identifier. Yeah. And then we did all the things that people normally do. Like you see it all across like Facebook and like in the groups, mm-hmm. Like everybody creates a cool business name, gets an awesome logo. And then maybe they even get a website. Yeah. Like we did all those things. We did all the things you're supposed to do. And we shared like our business, but we didn't really tell people what we can do for them. Like what we shared, like, hey, we got a drone. We can take photos from really freaking high. How about that? And then nothing. Months went by. Like I think actually from October to all the way to the beginning of December, nothing. Mm-hmm. So I basically started dry calling realtors and just like, looking at like listings. Finally, I got the idea. I'm going to look at listings on Zillow. I'm going to see how long they sat there. And the oldest listings are the ones I'm going to target. I'm going to offer them something they can't. And at first I said, well, I'm going to do just aerial photography. But then I realized nobody just wants aerial photography.
Right?
It's cool.
It's usually the other way around. Like people want just traditional photos and like, yeah, aerial photos would be cool.
So I realized I had to be something more than just aerial. Mm-hmm. And it was like that moment that I was like, all right, let's do something more. But I did a lot of work for free.
It's always great to diversify what you can offer because when you try to only target one market, you're probably going to fall short. I mean,
Right. And I don't want to, I don't want to fall short. I want to, like, my goal was I wanted to absolutely take everything I could for my competitors.
and this one,
Like,
there,
big, small, don't care. I wanted their piece of the pie.
yeah, and there's always these different avenues popping up. Like I talked about these sub industries when you have like mapping and thermal. There's there's somebody I've been talking to on Instagram, or maybe it's through email, but he does security with drones. I mean, that's a whole nother thing I didn't even think
Sure.
of.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. You know, I look,
Go ahead.
say that
Go
again.
ahead.
No, I looked at like my market, and like, you know, mapping wasn't really big down here. I haven't really tapped that market yet. I haven't really like went after people and advertised for that. I looked at, you know, thermal inspections, which I have a thermal drone. I can do some things, do appraisals for, you know, people and things like that, like energy audits, I guess. But I really haven't tapped that. I figured if I had a good baseline of like services, you know, I'm fully covered across the board. So that was my thought process behind it.
Yeah, and it's like you kind of need that one client to introduce you to a new, I guess, like a new service in order to actually offer it.
What I see too, like when I talk to people who are looking to form a, you know, an aerial photography business, and they start talking price, like everybody wants to know price, and that's a hard thing to discuss because it's really indigenous of the area that you are in. Like there's no one size fits all for pricing. Like what works here, you know, in Florida isn't going to work up in Philadelphia, and what works in Philadelphia isn't going to work in California. You know, it's the price is whatever the market will bear. And if your market doesn't, you know, have a need for your service, then you're not going to be able to charge those prices. So you got to sort of be able to come off your pride a little bit. You got to do a lot of work for free too.
Okay, yeah, that's another thing that I had written down. I think the best way in order to get into an industry,
Pro bono.
yeah, in order to get into an industry is free work, because, and you know what, you've got to make sure that when you do work for that person, doing work for free can bring them in as a client, and you can kind of hit their sweet spot. But you've got to make sure you tell them, like, look, you know, just to get my foot in the door with you guys, I'll give you a couple free shoots, but after that, I'm going to have to start charging.
Yeah, it's like a drug dealer mentality. Be like, hey, I'm going to give you this bag for free, yo. But after that, I've got you hooked. You love the aerial goods. No, probably bad analogy, but that's sort of how that would work, is like you're a aerial dealer.
Yeah, maybe.
That still sounds really bad, but y'all know what I mean.
I don't think I do.
You know,
So
it's, you know, Florida.
here's the thing, though, is like you can't sell yourself short. And there's always those people, I don't know if you've seen this, and I've heard of it happening here, but they offer services at such a cheap level that they kind of like ruin the whole entire market. You know what I mean?
I'm happy to ruin a market. I'm happy to steal and slowly but surely balloon prices, because I see, like, my mentality is I'm working in quantity. I'm owning properties. I'm literally stealing from photographers around me. I'm doing it like because my price is better, because I can do it faster. I can do it easier.
Better quality.
Better
Maybe not
quality.
better quality,
And
knowing you.
I don't know. Not at first. It's, you know, not at first I wasn't. You know, at first my photos sucked. They were terrible. And then I learned a life hack from a very good friend of ours. So,
Well, yeah, I mean, you learn these things that as you go along that make life easier, and then as soon as you begin to pick up these clients and bigger clients, more clients, you're then able to, you know, price a little bit more competitively in your advantage.
right. Exactly. And you know, you're learning things as you go. And like, you know, what mattered to me when I first started doesn't matter so much now. But I think as far as, you know, pricing goes, it just really depends. You know, that's like the last thing I ever worry about. I always worry about getting them in. A lot of times I don't even discuss pricing, because like I worked and did a company. They just wanted a couple of shots of like a water treatment facility. They wanted a quick video edit. And honestly, I was on site for about 45 minutes. We never discussed pricing. But then when I talked to her, she was like, you know, I got some really crazy prices. And I was like, well, what do you mean crazy? Like, what's crazy to you all? And they're like, you know, it was anywhere between $1,500. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I can do way better than that. I'm like, and it was like a good friend of mine. I knew her from high school, and I gave her a great deal. And now, because I gave her a great deal, I have all of their site facilities for the state of Florida.
That's nice, because with that lower pricing, you can then get more volume.
Right, exactly. And and it's like you sort of just fair with it. Now, obviously, if I have to drive further than what I did, that price is going to inflate,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not going to be like that first great deal is that great deal.
Yeah.
I'm always going to give them a great price, but going forward, it's going to be like, hey, this is what you can expect. But she's actually gave me another company that does similar site services. So now it's like, okay, I went from this company to another
That's
company.
perfect.
So, it's all good
I
things.
see Steve says intro pricing. That's another great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great professional way to call, that introductory rate that you're going to offer somebody, because free is a tricky word.
I know.
Because for me, like being in the automotive industry, I hate it free. Free was that 4-letter word. It was the worst of all F words that you can say. It was free. Um, so I like introductory. I think it sounds sort of classy. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this is my introductory rate for you.
Like establishing a
And it
partnership.
works.
In
Yeah,
order
exactly.
to establish this
Exactly.
partnership, I'm going to, make it worth your while.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Drone Wolf
exactly.
Media says local networking is huge. I agree. Here's my thing, right? I've tried to do promotion through like Instagram, Facebook.
I don't think
Uh,
it works. I don't.
no,
I don't. I don't think. I think honestly, Facebook, local targeted marketing for Facebook, or finding your local realtors on Facebook, or like apartment complexes or things like that. That's sort of what you have to do. I mean, Facebook is good for a broader, perspective, but you got to know somebody that's got to know. You know what I mean? It's like that whole 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon type of deal.
funny story here. I had a ad up on Facebook, and they have something when you first start up a page. Sometimes they give you these offers where it's like, hey, spend $25 and we'll give you another $25 in ad credit. So
Yeah,
you
I
you
know all about that.
you
I still owe
advertise
them $20.
you advertise for $50. So why not? Let's do it. Let's go and let's do it. Let's give it a try. So I do it, and I had no replies whatsoever to that advertisement that I posted, and I posted some pretty good photos there, and a little catchy thing. I got one reply, and it was from a woman, and she said, "Do you take photos?" I said yes. She said, "Okay, I need some photos taken of me for my birthday." And then I said, I only do drone photos. And she said, okay, that's fine. I need to save up to get my hair done anyway. So that's the only thing that I got out of Facebook. And I think that if you're going to be advertising through Facebook, you need to be like selling like a product, like a physical thing. Like it works perfect if you're trying to sell like a phone case, or if you're trying to sell like something that's trendy, because then people will just swipe up and buy.
I never sold anything, but I've gotten other realtors to follow my page,
And
share
that
the
okay.
page
So
and go from there. I've not run any ads specifically for Apex, but I've used the share feature, and I've flat out asked people and said, "Hey, listen, I know you're in the realty property business. I know you do rentals, for instance. What could get better clients into your properties type of thing.
mhm.
And if better photos attracts a higher end clientele, then hey, that's what you need.
Yeah, so
You got to be sort of ruthless with people.
and I think that Facebook is a great way to network. I know that Jin, what he does is he finds a realtor's name, he friends them on Facebook and says, hey, I see you're friends with so-and-so, I do work with them, let me take photos for you. So Facebook is a great way to network. I just don't think that
Sure.
advertisements really work in the
No,
drone space.
I don't know what their algorithm actually targets. I mean, you could be wasting money type of thing.
Yeah, a good platform that might be, probably the best to advertise on is maybe LinkedIn. You can advertise to certain people in certain
So,
industries. I mean, I think that that's a little bit
um,
better than Facebook, but I
Lo-
haven't personally done it.
Lon asks, what's wrong with a la carte pricing? And there's nothing wrong with a la carte pricing. I actually charge by the hour. I don't charge by the property. I have different rates for specific gigs. I'm not going to say specifically my hourly rate, but I found that I can be more competitive and a bit more fair, and it's a little bit more mindful for the person who's hiring me to
Hmm.
say, hey, I'm monitoring how long you're on site. Um, I do that. I also charge mileage. If
Good
I'm
idea.
driving somewhere, I charge mileage.
Yep.
55 cents a mile is the national average. So that
That's
I
what.
will say.
Yeah. So here's my problem with pricing is that if you don't look into what you're going to be doing, it could often be times that you're either underpricing or potentially overpricing. In my case, right, you have somebody that says, hey, I need a wall inspected. and they needed like very finite areas of a wall inspected. So I said, let me bring my Mavic 2 Zoom. I can zoom in, I can stay a safe distance away, and I can get you really close, still shooting 4K and even zoom in even further if I needed to. So I showed up, I quoted a price. I think it was like, again, it was one single wall, so I quoted a price of $300 in order to shoot these videos. And again, I didn't know exactly what they wanted. Here they wanted the entire building inspected, and each of these walls, they had 7 stories, and there was like a seam in between each of the stories, and they wanted each of those inspected. So we're talking like 7 seams on one side, another 7, so that's 14, like 28 different seams. So at that point, I had to raise the price on the spot.
So with something like that, like what I've done with clients as of late, like I have specific clients. Like I have my clients that, okay, you were the first ones that got me the gig, and you're continuously like preaching, you know, my business to others and getting me additional clients. So those people I have sort of locked in at special pricing. But for everybody else, what I do is I'll set like, you know, hey, this is my hourly rate. This is my minimum. So you have to have a minimum, because let's say if they have you there and it's not going to be an hour, well, you're still getting billed an hour. My minimum is X. So you have to, you sort of have to have that in place. There's so many different variables. And I have like a disclaimer. I've written this whole little contract that I make them sign now. Like after getting burned a couple of times with it, I have a contract that I send via DocuSign. So it's all done through DocuSign now. They sign it, they send it back to me. And that sort of like is, you know, the arbitration of whatever it is that we're doing. Now, obviously there's certain realtors that I don't make them sign that, because like, honestly, I just know they're going to, know they're going to pay. And I don't want to like, you know, ruin a relationship over a DocuSign, because it doesn't really matter. But for people who I don't know, I make them sign that, because then they can read through it. And if they have any questions, there's no hidden surprises, whatever it is that you're doing. And I also have it now. I found a service that can make you, you know, it's for drones. It's called Sold by Air. You can actually link your PayPal to it and have it to where when you deliver your final files, they have to pay for it before they can get a preview. They can't download them.
That's interesting. But it's called Sold by Air. I'm gonna look that up.
It's called Sold by Air, and it allows you to deliver MLS compliant video to your realtor. It even allows you to link up their name, so it looks all incredibly professional.
Yeah.
It's totally a free service. They're based out of South Carolina.
They don't take any of your money?
They don't take any of your money.
Okay,
it's totally free.
I see Sold by Air. This is hire FAA certified drone pilots nationwide.
They also have a network as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool idea.
I've signed up with them. I've been using that a little bit, because a lot of times what happens is we do all these, you know, wonderful jobs, and we deliver the client a file, an MP4, MOV, whatever it may be. The client can't use that depending on where they're sending that. They need it to be embedded. So it has to be on a website, but it can't actually be on YouTube, because YouTube is a branded website.
Oh, okay. And YouTube is like the easiest way to share video.
Right. Vimeo is a branded website, but there's ways to take that embed and share it where like the YouTube portion of it all, the brand and the ads are gone. It just takes the file. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So that's what they do. So they make things compliant.
So now here's my, you know, the whole topic is the reality of becoming a drone pilot. And I think that the reality is that it's easy, right? It's almost like the reality of being, of making YouTube videos. So many people
let's think about it. Whoa. You said it's easy.
That's the reality of it. That's what people think the reality of it is.
Is it easy? Is it easy though?
No,
because
I don't think it's easy.
It's not easy, because it takes a special mindset, I think. And even YouTube. Let's look at YouTube. People start up a channel all the time. Mm-hmm. I had my channel since 2011. 2011, mind you. That's a long time. Yeah. That's a long ass time. If I look at my channel compared to your channel, you're like Tom Brady. I'm over here like, I don't know.
Well,
Mark Sanchez.
It all depends on when you start uploading.
I started uploading in 2011.
Okay, but I'm talking about taking it serious. You know what I mean?
I was serious.
How many videos do you have uploaded to your channel right now?
460.
I have 430. I mean that, you know.
Okay, well obviously you're a premature uploader.
I'm just saying, imagine how many. It's all about your uploads. It's not like, oh well, I've had this amount of time. I mean, look
No,
at how
I,
many
and
uploads.
I get that. I didn't start taking it serious. Honestly, I did not start taking YouTube fully seriously until last year, right when they announced that like they were going to change the monetization. You had to have so much watch time, blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. And I started sitting around thinking about it. I'm like, I like this. I like
Yeah.
flying drones. You know, it's something I like. I don't like talking about phones anymore. I don't like talking about all this other crap that people do. I made a change. And I was like, as soon as I made a change, then it was like, all right, we can do something here.
But here's the thing, right? I think that the reality of being a drone pilot is that it's easy because these companies make it seem that flying a drone is so easy. I mean, that's what DJI loves to push, is that their drones are so easy to fly. They come with all of these sensors.
Okay.
They have all
Yeah.
these intelligent flight features.
It's hard though. Like when you walk up to a site, like I was looking at a water treatment plant. What the hell do you film?
I hold on.
What the fuck do you
I
film?
I think that
Where do you start?
I think you think that I'm disagreeing with you, but what I'm saying is that everybody thinks that flying a drone is easy, but the reality is that it's hard because not only do you have to be good at flying a drone, but you got to be good at certain business tactics.
I think when you're starting a business and you're just now getting into this and it's like all right you're getting to the point because honestly I looked before everything. I think it was like after I think I got my Phantom 3 standard.
Mm-hmm.
I started looking like at like what people were making. There was a video going around online of this guy doing these power plant inspections, and he was talking about how he made $50,000 in three
I think I
months. And
might have seen
like,
that video.
it was a very popular video.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, wow, this guy's killing it. I'm like, but it never registered to me like in my mind. Like, wait a second, why the hell is he flying a standard then? Maybe it's just easier if it falls in the reactor. I don't know. But it never dawned on me like it's hard because you got to fly, you have to create, and then your workload, your everything that you do can be affected by your mentality. Like if you're not shooting to edit, I guess, because no matter what you're doing with the drone, you're going to be editing something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to sort of like tune your workflow, and it doesn't happen all the time. And the other thing too is I think people get discouraged in this business. Like
Very easily.
they get a couple of gigs in, and then all of a sudden I got discouraged. You know, maybe somebody stops using you for one reason or another. And realtors, there may be some in this chat, I don't know, but they're cowards. They don't like conflict. They don't like conflict, and they won't tell you when they don't like your work. They'll just sort of ghost you like a girl you met at the bar. You know, I've not done that. I've been married, but you know what I mean. I've not done. Full disclosure.
Do you think she's watching?
Maybe, I don't know. Swipe left.
Lon says I don't think it's harder than starting any business, and I agree. I mean, look, starting a business is tough, and you can look at it this way: like being in the drone industry because it's so new, it could be easier in some ways, and it could be harder in other ways. Because it could be easier, like there's not many people out there flying drones, but it could
Sure.
be harder, and this is what I've experienced because you try to approach a company and you say, "Hey, I fly drones. You're a construction company. I can take progressional pictures. I can create 3D models. I can create 2D maps, this, and that." And they go, "Why do I need this? Stop talking to me."
So I think when you list out your services and you don't tell them specifically what you have for them, specifically like how you're going to put money in their pocket, they don't want to hear anything. Like it doesn't matter what amazing tricks you can do with your drone or what services you offer if they don't hear what it's going to do for them.
Money
Like
talks.
it's like Jerry Maguire, man. You know, what's in it for me?
Money talks.
Show me the money. Money talks all the time.
I totally forget what I was gonna say. Okay, here's what I think is so difficult about it. Is that drones are so new and people have these certain ways of doing their things. And if Steve
Right.
is still in here, Steve and I, we've partnered up and we're trying to do these stockpile inspections. And there's so
Okay.
many people that are like, yeah, this is awesome, but I can just look outside and take a guess at how much I have, and that's all I need to do. Why do I need you guys to
Right.
come in here and take measurements of our stockpiles? It's just like, unless somebody in the back of their mind is like, yeah, hey, you know what we should do? We should get somebody to come out here with a drone and take measurements of our stockpiles. And if you hit
It depends
them,
on who you're talking to. If you're talking to a business owner and they have employees, like if I went up to the guys over here, they're a rock yard. They do mulch, they do rock, they do fill, they do sod, and they have piles. If I talk to the owner of the company, he's probably going to tell me the pound salt because he doesn't care because money's coming in. But if I went and talked to his bookkeeper or an accountant and said, hey, what is your spillage per month on losses. Like what is the amount of revenue that you're losing because of loss, because you aren't calculating things properly, or your staff in the yard are miscounting things. And she's like, or he's like, good question. But we don't really have a good way to gauge that. And I said, what if I had a way to give you an accurate count that didn't require any additional hands? And let's say we only had to count your stockpiles or your yard once or twice a week for a fixed rate. And if you paid, let's say, I don't know what the charge is, I'm not going to throw a number out there, but it can save you X number of dollars at the end of the month in losses. Would that be worth it to you? She's going to say yes.
It could save them a lot of money, because in the people that we've talked to, they say sometimes when they go and deliver, 5,000 cubic yards, the person gets it on there and says, yo, you only shipped 4,200.
Right, because there's spillage. You're going to lose things in transit, especially when it comes to, if it's like sod or what doesn't matter. There's always losses. I mean, in any industry that revolves transit, except for Amazon, thank you. There's always going to be some loss.
Sometimes there's some loss with Amazon.
I know, once in a while. We won't go there. But it's all about how you present it. So, I mean, the reality is, if there's a need, you have to fill the need, and you have to present that to the client that this is how you can save the money. But it's always about them. I think the mistake that a lot of drone pilots make is, and it even goes with YouTube. People are like, well, how do you get free drones? Or how do you get linked up with these services? Like, people always ask me, how do you get free drones? Well, here's how I did it. When I first started working like with DroneWorks, was never out of my mouth once. I presented like a whole, sort of PowerPoint to him on how I can assist his business, because I saw a need, and I presented that to him, and he was like, holy shit, I like it. Let's do it. Digital handshake, and now we're here, months later.
No, I agree.
So I mean, it's one of those things, like, you gotta always be about the customer. They can't know your selfishness in the industry, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I still think that there's this general consensus that it's easy to become a drone pilot. It's not, and I think that a lot of people, specifically people that are like actual pilots, they look down on us so far.
Right, and and here's the other thing that happens too, is like, what I'll see is people be like, oh, I can just do this, and this is the misinformation. I can just get a drone and take photos. Like, I see it all the time, where a realtor will hire their son, and they think that it's okay to have them take photos of their property because they're not paying anything. They believe that's legal, and that's actually wrong. According to the 107, anything that can, prolong you, in a monetary manner
of your business or whatever,
right, would require a 107 license. So even having your son, your nephew, it doesn't matter who they are, take these photos of your property, they still need to be licensed, even if money is not trading hands. That is one of the biggest problems that I see today.
What do you think is going to happen with the Part 107?
I don't see them lighting it. I think they're going to make it harder. No, I don't think they'll get rid of it, because think about it, $150 every time you want to do business in this country to fly a aerial vehicle. You're going to need unmanned aerial vehicle. You're going to need a 107. That's $150. Every time you want to register a drone, whether you're 107 or not, it's $5. So that's what I mean. Anytime, it doesn't matter whether you're 107 or hobbyist, it's $5. So they're making money hand over fist. And technically speaking, you need to actually register your drone twice as a FAA 107 pilot, because that number that is registered to my drone as a 107 pilot is different than a hobbyist number.
Yeah, but the hobbyist number is like it's tied to just you. It's not like
right. It's just a singular number, so you would just pay that $5 and just print it out for all your drones. So you would have two separate numbers. I guess if you crash, you'd be like, oh crap, I was flying under hobby. Wasn't flying to be paid.
So Drone Wolf Media says he's got to run. I'll catch you later, boy. Lon Denard says, I sell preventative maintenance and modifications on manufacturer equipment. You have to show the benefit to the customer. That's crazy. That's $60,000 job. That's nuts. let me really quickly, just if you guys could, I'm putting a link in here in the chat to a form. If you guys could fill out that form, it's just kind of to get a general consensus of our audience. We're running this all the way throughout the month of April. We've got about 100 responses, so thank you to everybody that filled it out. You can fill it out twice if you want to, whatever you want to do, but I figured I'd drop that in there. Just click on the link, fill out that form. It's 3 quick questions, and that would be awesome.
Cool. If you already filled it out, don't worry about it. Also, while we're on this topic of filling out things, if anybody in here is considering getting their 107 license and they are looking for additional training, in the video description of this video, you'll find that there is a $50 off credit to Drone Pilot Ground School. If you're curious about their program, I encourage you to click on the link from this video to let them know that the Overcast sent you.
Yeah, we both took that to study for our 107s, and it helped out a boatload.
Well, and it just gives you like better information. Like, as you're out in the field, I mean, another thing that is, crucial when you're flying is to understand, that surrounding airspace and understand certain rules of what you can and can't do, because you may have a client ask you to do something that is totally against, FAA regulation, and they may go at you on it. Sometimes I even keep certain rules handy, because I know I have a realtor that is going to be a pain in the neck. Or for instance, I was in a situation just last week flying a property. It was that water treatment plant. I had to get a link to fly because I was just inside Class B airspace for Tampa International. Tampa International says, or the outer liars where I was flying says, you can fly up to 400 feet. Yet I have planes coming in on an approach pattern at 300 feet.
Wow.
So it's like you have to make a decision. Okay, I've got to fly safely, so I'm going to keep it at a safe distance at 150, 200 feet max.
I was gonna, what? Eli's making fun of you, saying, "Tell me why Ken's mic is the size of Billy's head." You got that thing right in front of your face.
I know, but that's how this audio sounds about like when you're using a condenser mic and you're podcasting and crap like that. This is where the mic should be. Watch Joe Rogan.
I know, but at least he's like to the side. You could at least bring it down a little bit.
You want to hear? It's best head on. I just leave it right here.
Swivel it. Now
right
here's what I've been thinking, right? And this is something that really sucks.
How about here? You want it here?
Brad, the 107 test is 60 questions. 60 questions and
60 questions plus you may get a couple of extras that are like for extra credit, or not extra credit, but they're like test questions. Like they had on my test, I had like 63 questions, but only 60 counted. Yeah.
Well, so
they were like experimental questions or something like that. I don't know. Weird. The lady was telling me
60 questions, and each of the questions has 3 options. Makes it a little bit easier. You've got A, B, and C to choose from, not A, B, C, and D.
Ask Billy how he did on the weather.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. Still passed.
It's cool, man. How long did it take you?
I don't know. Do you have the same card as I do?
Probably. I mean, they were probably pretty similar.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean.
Just asking.
So the one threat to me as a contracted drone pilot is people just hiring drone pilots themselves. Like companies, right? Like they say, oh, wow, they offer a great service. Let's just bring this in-house. And I think that hiring a drone pilot is much easier than bringing it in-house. And that's not just because I am that person that they're trying to hire, but think about everything that's got to go into it. You know what I mean? They got to get the license. They got to find someone to do it. They've got to buy the drone. They've got to train them. Potentially buy the insurance.
They have to have a need for continuous use of a drone too, to bring somebody in-house. Like a roofing company, they may have a need to have a drone in place as they send out their sales reps to do inspections. That may be somewhere where, okay, you need to hire somebody to specifically do this. That would be a good need for that. But, or like what we were saying, I think you were saying Ford was using Uniques to inspect their rafters at their plants. They may have somebody specifically that goes around their company once a month per se.
Mm-hmm. Mopar asks, how would you approach commercial real estate versus residential? You want to answer that one?
How would I approach commercial real estate versus residential? Well, I can't really speak to commercial real estate. Those have sort of fell into my lap. But residential is just go directly towards the realtor. Again, I use Zillow or any other listing site. There's a website, like a generalization website called MLS. And what I try to do is target the smaller real estate firms. Like, don't go after the Remaxes or the Keller Williams and things like that, because a lot of those agents are fairly new in the industry. You want to go after sort of like the agents that are working for like the smaller, more localized firms, because those are typically your more seasoned veterans, and they understand that good photo, aerial is what they need.
Yeah, you see, I can't really talk about real estate because I haven't done much real estate, but I would assume that it's somewhat the same. You're still dealing with an agent. It's usually just a bigger property, and you're definitely going to charge more for that commercial real estate. Now, how often you get those gigs is probably going to be less frequent than, residential, or I guess, yeah, residential. So at Mopar, I mean, if you're consistently getting commercial real estate gigs, I mean, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, commercial. I mean, there definitely is a good pull. Like honestly, like in working with the company that I just did this week, I could have probably put any number on the piece of paper and they probably would have been okay to pay it. As to where, residential, they're going to like balk if you put a price that's like outside of whatever their budget. Because you got to keep in mind, they work off a commission. Commercial real estate, they may be working for an organization like pushing, let's say, a commercial site or something, and there's no specific agent that you're necessarily dealing with. So many different factors.
Brad asked such a good question. Do you guys see any other unexplored drone business sectors coming along? That does make sense, right? So like the sub industries are talking about like mapping and whatever. How could it? God, it's so hard.
I mean, unexplored drone business like that you would charge for. I mean, I can see, aquatic drone businesses coming up, especially down here in Florida. They may be using, like obviously I talked about a water treatment facility that I was doing some inspections on. They may want, you to go ahead and inspect the tanks from within, and you have to use an aquatic sub to check the walls or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's so many untapped things. Honestly, the world of autonomy is just now gearing, and it's like you get on now and ride the wave while you can.
Lon says I think underwater is going to come on hard, and I agree. I think that those underwater subs that we saw at what was it called? At CES were awesome.
Yeah, dude. I agree. I mean, underwater is going to come on harder than Lon's comments on a Sunday night after 8:30 p.m. So,
well, look, I
agree.
I don't think that they're there yet. I don't think that they're there to be used in a commercial aspect yet.
No.
Just like drones were when it's kind of like I would relate where we are at right now with these aquatic subs to where drones were when you attached like a GoPro to them, and that was how you got your aerial footage. And now we're at a point with drones where they can be used for so many different things, and there's so many different applications. But these aquatic subs right now are just kind of for fun.
They're interesting to look at. They're somewhat unstable. Like, if you look at the camera quality on many of them, it's sort of like they're cramming in a GoPro camera, and it's just not. I mean, they were cool. I mean, I think the one that sort of tickled me the most was the one by Power Vision.
Mm-hmm.
They have right now. I think Power Vision right now has the best aquatic drones.
Easily. They're in the lead
to date.
They're in the lead.
But I mean, I can see like pool companies down here in Florida. They may say, "Hey, we're going to do inspections. We're going to inspect for cracks, and we want to see the penetration of these cracks, and we have to send an aquatic sub." Obviously, they can no doubt dive down into a pool, but maybe that it just looks so much more professional if you had like something that was photographing it and you never had to have a rep get wet. I mean, there's so many different things, like even for conservation purposes, that a sub, aquatic sub would be ideal for.
I think that it would be easier to get into that game because you don't need a license, whereas there's so much more, I guess, overhead for a drone. The maintenance, hiring somebody, teaching them how to use it, get that 107. So
they're really expensive, and they just don't function as well.
Brad says you guys should try out the Power Vision egg drone. That thing looks so unaerodynamic.
I will never try a Power Vision egg drone. And Tony McKee, this dude on my channel, dude, he just comments every single time I make mention of everything. He's like, "You need to try the egg drone." I told him, like, just let it die.
There's no way I would ever do that.
It looks like something straight out of that movie, Arrival. That's what it reminds me of.
I've got no idea what movie that is.
It's relatively recent, but
just think about it though. It's not very aerodynamic. Now the Power Vision looks pretty badass.
Yes, it does. It does. It's going to be, the Power Vision. That one looks pretty cool, and I don't know why nobody's really talked about that, or it's not really gotten any attention. So it makes me wonder. A lot of times when you when you hear about some drone, like see a drone at like CES and you don't hear about it anymore, it always makes me wonder. We're just now seeing a lot of people get the Evolve in their hands all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So
Al
it's making its
says,
rounds.
Al says, what drone are you guys using the most on your jobs? And I've got like 4 I keep in rotation. Not 4, so I'm sorry, 3 I keep in rotation.
So I use the Evo and the Mavic 2 Pro as of late the most.
Yeah, I'm Mavic 2 Pro, Inspire 2, and I've been dabbling with the zoom because that zoom feature can be helpful in certain scenarios. And I think it still
And
takes great video.
I've had one house that required, like, they wanted a thermal shot of the roof for an energy audit.
Finally get to use the Enterprise Dual.
Finally got to use the Enterprise Dual. I was so excited. I couldn't wait to use it. I was like, yes.
The resolution on that thing really is.
You know what? They saw pretty colors. They loved it. What does the colors mean? I'm like, well, it's here you go. Here's the screenshot.
I've got so I've I literally just before we jumped on this podcast, or before we jumped on this live stream, I was shooting a video about how to conduct these thermal inspections with the thermal roof inspections with the Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual, and there's a lot of things that go into it. Again, at first, there's not much content out there about how to like take a thermal roof inspection. And as I've been trying to piece together all the information, I thought it was going to be a lot easier than it actually is. There's a lot that goes into thermal roof inspections.
Yeah, it's. I mean, like from watching like Zach do them, and it's there's a lot. Like I thought it was like all easy, and like all the stitching that goes into taking multiple images and letting it sit there and run its course, and then like what he has to do afterwards to analyze that data. It's pretty in depth. It's pretty incredible.
See that?
And I get why they're charging $20,000 for certain inspections.
Yeah, that will also, and this kind of comes to the fact that we've been kind of talking about, is like, depending on the service, you can charge more because there's a ton of people out there taking drone photos, but how many people are taking drone thermal photos?
So like with the thermal photos, like we have a guy, he does the processing for it. He's, I guess he's a thermographer. I guess that's what they call it. And he's went to school, like he's taking classes for it with FLIR and what have you.
Who is this again? Are you answering Steve questions right now?
Yeah, Steve's question. So he's asking. So he does our processing, just because when it comes to reading thermals, you have to be incredibly accurate.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is. Like this happened to be for a house that was doing an energy audit, like, and it was for an appraiser. They just had questions on it. Like, this is one of those things because the roof was questionable.
Mm-hmm. See, I would love to be able to become a thermographer, if that's what they're called. I would love to take classes. But what I've been doing with the Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual in my time of having it is pretty much teaming up with like local roofing companies, local roof inspectors, and just clients who have roofing companies lined up to provide them with the photos so that they can just use them. But the biggest thing about the Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual that really hinders it is the fact that you can't do any post-process analyzation with FLIR tools.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
It's sort of a bummer. They sort of need to get with FLIR.
No, I think they're purposely doing this. I think they're purposely doing it so that they can sell the other drones, because there's no reason they shouldn't be able to.
Well, I mean, it all depends on what data it's pulling in that FLIR 1 camera, because from my understanding is that the Parrot is going to allow you, which, by the way, after thinking about it further, that's a ripoff.
What is?
For the FLIR on the Parrot, by the way, that's an absolute ripoff. $1,900.
Why do you think so?
How? Because it's a FLIR 1 camera. They're literally a $300 camera. That sensor that is in the Mavics is like literally a $300 sensor.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
But the fact that the fact that it's put inside of a camera that has 2 sensors.
It's a $300 camera. A sensor is a sensor is a sensor. No matter what's alongside it, it's a $300 sensor.
Look, I totally,
not talking about cost. I'm talking about that's what it costs to buy those.
I totally understand it, but imagine how much they're making these Mavic 2 Pros for, and imagine how much they're selling them for.
I'm willing to bet that they have not as much cost into these products, and I would, because I know what the Evo costs to build, and I wouldn't imagine that the Mavics are far behind that.
Yeah, if anything less, because DJI can make them on a much greater scale.
Right. So I mean, their margins are pretty solid margins. Now, marketing and everything else, that's a whole different factor. Not talking about actual product. Still.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit of a ripoff because the Anafi is only like $400 at this point. That's all it ever was worth to begin with.
Yeah, right. It's a little toy.
It really is.
I think that Parrot is really trying to push that commercial sector of their drone. Their
I think they
drones.
should have did it. I think they should have did it with a different product, not a recycled product. I think if you're going to be
Like a whole brand new
a
system.
commercial,
Well, wait,
yeah,
didn't
just
I,
like bring
did,
something more.
I've heard that like the body is fortified now. Like it's better somehow or whatever. Is that true?
I don't know.
It's a
I want to.
different-
I don't know. I sort of want to get one and smash it into a wall and find out because I know what the old one would do.
Well, I've seen the old one get smashed into a wall and it survived, but it almost killed me.
Well, I'm talking about. Well, and then we also saw one fall from the sky, or it wasn't really that high,
No,
and
it
it
was
didn't
like
survive.
230 feet maybe, and it
Oh,
survived,
maybe.
but the battery broke somehow. The battery wasn't functioning.
I don't know. I just have a hard time processing
Yeah,
the cost of
Al
of
says
that.
it's Wi-Fi though. That's the biggest thing. Wi-Fi kills it. Wi-Fi is the killer. So
Yeah, Wi-Fi does suck.
I think the stream in the beginning went horrible, but it pulled through. So
It's always seems like it's buffering. It's almost like you want to like let the stream sit there on idle like 20 minutes before so it can just like do whatever crazy crap OBS is going to do.
I know, right?
And then after OBS gets through whatever's happening, like I have no idea. And again, I've tried searching it, can't figure out for the life of me what causes that.
We've got to get on here 2 hours in advance next time.
Just let it sit, like just like wait for us and then whatever.
I'll come back from
So-
class and just let it buffer, and I'll go get some food or something.
I mean, I don't remember having that issue when I used OBS the last time with multiple people.
See,
on
that's
stream.
the thing that's why I'm guessing that it's the NDI because that's something that we didn't use before.
Yeah, but it's weird. Like I've watched like Droid Life and other people that make the stream the same way we have it or somewhat similar anyways. They don't have that problem. So I don't know. It makes no sense. But then again, I don't know what operating system they use. I mean,
Yeah.
it could be a Windows thing, could be a Mac thing. It's an oddity, that's for sure.
I know. So if you guys want, go ahead and throw some questions in here. We'll stick around for another 5 minutes and answer anything you guys have. You've already asked a couple of questions. Joseph Meyer says work for seawater and use an underwater drone to inspect all their tanks. Their tanks are probably pretty small from what I've seen. The Orcas like literally stick up out the top.
Or SeaWorld? That'd be something.
SeaWorld
They've got quite a few.
sucks. The difference in price between the Mavic 2 Enterprise and the Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual, do they both cost $2,700? So the Mavic 2
No,
Enterprise Dual costs $2,700.
The Enterprise Zoom is $17.99, $18.99, something like that.
So it's a
Or maybe it's a flat 2,000 actually.
I think it might be a flat 2,000 also. Hey, when I type in Mavic 2 Enterprise 2 Zoom, my video is the first one to pop up.
Congratulations.
Let's see. I'm pulling it up right now through Drone Nerds, seeing what their price is on the Mavic 2 Enterprise Zoom. Mavic 2 Enterprise Zoom, $2,200, but this comes with Enterprise Shield. So maybe there's an increased price because of the Shield on it.
Yeah, I know when they added Shield to all of them, they inflated the price to supplement that, which was sort of goofy, but I get it.
What's the top speed of the Mavic 2?
Mavic 2 is what, 45 miles an hour?
It has it listed as 47 miles per hour on here. Do you think it actually goes faster because it's the Enterprise?
No way. I've never got it up to 47. The most I've ever got mine up to is like 45, maybe 46 in a headwind. I'm still wanting to take the Evolve out and try to get it up to 61 miles an hour.
Talman says some live streams do actually start with a 30 or so countdown. I don't know if he means 30-minute or 30-second, but we start with a 2-minute countdown. I find
I don't
that's
like
a sweet spot.
countdowns, to be honest with you. I hate countdowns.
Here's-
Like I'll want to watch a stream and they have like a 10-minute countdown. I guess that lets people get there.
Yeah, and here's the thing: is like the reason I like to put the countdown on there is so people can just skip through until they're like, all right, I'm at 5 seconds. Let me just wait from here. Al Diaz says, are you guys still using Skywatch for insurance? I have now migrated. Blue Eye Visual says it goes 47 downhill. I've now migrated to pretty much doing monthly insurance through State Farm for everything. Now, here's something interesting. I want to bring this up because I found this interesting. I called State Farm. I asked them for the insurance. I told them what I needed. It was processed. I made my first monthly payment. You can actually choose how often you want to pay, whether it be monthly, yearly, whatever. I made my first payment, which was a monthly payment, and they go, "We can't cover you because you fly drones." I said, "What?" And they said, "Yeah, we can't cover you because you fly drones." I got like a letter of denial in the mail, but apparently they were going to cover me for the year. They say, "Oh, we can't cover aircraft," but what I'm going to do is renew the insurance and say that I'm a photographer and I'm a videographer and I sometimes use cameras that can fly. So I'm not going to have a drone business. But State Farm, when you do business insurance, does not only do drones.
So wait a second. They'll cover your aircraft if you're not a drone business? Is that the verbiage?
See, so here's the thing: is that she told me, the woman called me back and said, "Look, we can't cover you because you just fly drones or whatever. I've already put it through the process, and I told them that I told you that we can cover you, so we're going to be able to cover you for a year, but after that, we're most likely going to have to drop you."
Wait.
And hold on. She said to me, she said, like, "Do you do anything other than drones?" I said, "Yeah, I take photos with my camera like all the time. I mean, that's another whole, portion of my business. The main thing that's advertised is drones. But if a client wants regular photos, I will do that. And oftentimes it's always a mixture of aerials and ground shots that I'm doing for people." So I told her that, and she said, "Oh, okay. Well, that changes things."
It makes I don't understand.
Neither
I don't
do
understand. That makes no sense.
So
I mean, honestly, it is what it is.
I want to do my due diligence and start looking up some good business insurance. But for me, what I've done is I've gone with State Farm. Here's the thing: is if I use Skywatch every single day, it's going to bleed my pockets. I think that it's a little bit.
It's just not conducive. It's great in a pinch, but it's not a conducive. And I don't know how they deal with their claims either.
For everyday use, I think that Skywatch is not the move. If you need it every once in a while and you're somebody that seldom uses drones seldomly, then it's a great choice. But yeah, I don't fly drones. I use flying cameras. 51 Drones did a video and he discovered that if the drone is used for business, they don't cover it. Yeah, exactly. I've done it before too. If you try to get it insured under like the personal articles policy, and if you use it for business, they won't cover it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to reach out to my local agent over here and see what they offer in lines at. Because I mean, considering that, like, what I would consider as a drone is only 10% of my business. Like, if you ask me how much money I made from a drone this year, I would have to subtract 10% from whatever I earned, commercially. And I mean, so I mean, I'm okay with that. Like, I don't know.
You're a little bit out of focus.
I'm more concerned about people's property in case if something happens. Yeah. I don't care about my drone. I care about the property because that's always where the damage is going to occur. You hit a car, you go through a window. Like just yesterday, flying in a screen patio, trying to get this shot, and I hit the screen. Luckily, no damage to the screen. Just have to replace it. Oh crap! I forgot. I got to replace the prop on the Mavic.
I'm surprised that there was no damage to the screen because
none. It literally bounced the Mavic back, and as soon as it bounced back, I pulled back on the stick and I just shot back out of the patio. Got my shot, but I got lucky. That thing's a beast.
You've
a stability beast.
The prop guards. Do they even make prop guards for the Mavic 2 yet? I don't know.
I wouldn't use them anyways because I don't know. I feel like I've hit stuff with the props on the Mavic and it like bounces back. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It bounced off the wall. It's freaking incredible.
Lon said that they're cool with you until you make a claim. They canceled me. That's crazy. I've heard of them canceling other people as well.
So I made a claim with State Farm on their person, like on my original Phantom. I told you that.
Yeah, and they were fine. They were cool with it, right?
And they were fine. They didn't even care. They weren't even. I actually just never renewed. They were like, when you get a new craft, bring it in with the receipt, and then we'll sign you up. I just never came back in.
That's nice though.
But I do want to get I want to insure my cameras. I want to insure my computer.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like that's to me, that's where your money is. Like a drone's I don't know. I gotta replace. If you lose people's files, that's a big deal.
That's another thing too. I'm so crazy about file backup. You know me. I've got it backed up 3 times. I've got it backed up on a RAID solution, and then I've got it backed up to Backblaze.
So I use CrashPlan on all of my drives. So everything's backed up across the board in case if things go wary. And then I use Dropbox for delivery of all the files, just because it's just convenient. Most everybody has Dropbox.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to do it for the stream. I am wrapping up with school on a personal note, and it is kicking the hell out of me. So I can't wait to be done and be summer. And Ken and I will be getting together the beginning of May to shoot some podcasts, and
we're road tripping up to Philly.
We are going to be in a brand new studio for our show, so that's going to be awesome. Our live show is still going to be just like this, but the podcast.
Oh, we can do our live show. Yo, good thing is the show in May, that 1 week, we're not going to have any issues with streaming.
We'll be together,
and we'll be in the same room, so we're not going to have any problems with like anything. That's going to be freaking awesome.
I know.
That's going to be awesome.
All right, guys. Thank you for stopping by. We will catch you next Sunday for the Overcast podcast. Feel free, if you want to go ahead, check out the form that I put into the chat. I believe it's also down in the description. It would be awesome if you guys could fill that out. Thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you later.
Oh, yeah, and if you haven't already, because, again, there's only 522 of you here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and if you want to or feel cool, share it to one of the groups or whatever. If anybody is considering jumping into the drone industry and they want further information. So,
yeah, man.
There you go. Awesome. We'll see you
guys.
next week.
We'll talk to you.